People of Reddit, what do you regret finding out? My mom is 56, I'm 28, and her husband is a 37-year-old guy that dated me when I was 14 and he was 23. He was the pastor's son, so my parents, despite being super strict, would let me go hang out with the guy, and I thought he was so cool because he was older, had a car and all that. Looking back, I've realized how creepy he was. When my mom told me they were dating, I begged her not to, told her about how we had messed around, etc. Then she decided to go and marry the guy. I didn't go to the wedding, but me and my mom are on good terms now. The worst part is that my two kids love him and call him Pawpaw, and he's barely older than me or my husband. I wish every day they would get a divorce. My mother died in a car accident when I was 3. I found out from a newspaper article years later that it was her fault. She wasn't paying attention and crossed the yellow line and ended both her life and that of the person in the other car. That my best friend took her own life. She told me she was moving and gave me all her stuff because she said she had a furnished room where she was going. I hadn't heard from her in a while and she never answered my texts, so I looked up her name to see if she had an accident. Nope, it was suicide. The kicker is she had talked me out of it back in 2014 and I wasn't able to be there for her. That my mother knew she had cancer a year before she told anyone, or other, a year before she was diagnosed, after I literally forced her to see a doctor for her then extremely distended stomach. I was under the impression that we told each other absolutely everything because up until that point, we did. I found out the truth a month after she died when I'd requested all of her cancer-related paperwork from her oncologist. My mother found out she had a lung disease, not cancer, an autoimmune thing, and she had about 7 years to live. She just all of a sudden quit smoking. It wasn't caused by smoking, but quitting would extend her life. Several years later she just said, "Oh, I have this lung issue, but they don't really know what it comes from." She was very elusive because I'm a nurse and she didn't want me to research her disease and find out she was dying. The last year of her life she was on oxygen. I knew she was sick, but not that she was dying. Nobody did. I knew the time was near, but I thought I had a few more years. She ended up in the hospital, got pneumonia and died a few days later with me at her side. I don't know if I wish I knew or not. That my younger sister has a high rank in a local BDSM club. My dad informed me when I got back from Iraq that I was the reason he and my mother got a divorce. I never really wanted to join the military anyways, and it destroyed me big time. They had financial troubles and my mom sent me care packages quite a lot. Apparently, that put them into bankruptcy, and if I hadn't joined it wouldn't have happened. I just wanted to get out of that house because it was like I didn't exist. Found out my girlfriend told my parents I was extremely suicidal and they responded, "So, what do you want us to do about that?" And they never brought it up again. Few months after they kicked me out for textbook depression, I found out my mom cashed out my Uplan program that froze college tuition prices for me at cost of 1991 pricing. My grandmother set up and put money in. She used the $25,000 in it to pay off IRS from problems she incurred due to drug addiction. When I was about 14, my mom took me to a tattoo shop to get her nipples pierced. While the procedure was happening, she turned to me and said, "Your dad bites harder than that." I could have lived without that info. That I'm not very smart. I'm not dumb or dim, but I've really had to come to terms with the fact that not only am I not the smartest man in the room, I'm probably damn near the stupidest. I always blamed my best friend's erratic behavior on mental health issues until one day I found her passed out on my toilet and realized that her behavior always got erratic after bathroom visits. Unfortunately, she may have mental health issues, but an addiction to certain drugs was the reason for most of her behavior. The real reason why half of my dad's side of the family doesn't speak to us. We, my twin and I, were always told it was that they just weren't that close and also that they had some mental health issues, but after my dad died we learned the truth because no one on his side of the family came to the funeral. They opted to have their own turns out that my parents had trouble conceiving. This I knew. I also know me and my twin are IVF babies and we were born very premature. I'm talking 1 pound baby premature. Shortly after, my mom developed breast cancer. What I didn't know was that during this time my dad was also taking care of his sick mother as well as looking after his sick wife and 2 newborn preemies. He ended up asking his brother to help look after their mother. Well, soon after my dad spent more time with us versus his mom, she took a turn for the worse and died. And my father's brother blamed him for abandoning the family and blamed my twin and I for the death of our grandmother. Because if we weren't born, my mother wouldn't have gotten estrogen-positive breast cancer, and also they were all very Catholic and IVF was a sin. I never met my grandmother. I'm named for her. But apparently an entire side of the family thinks it's mine and my sister's fault she's dead. Thank you for watching Reddit Central. Make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss any new videos. Feel free to share any similar stories in the comments below.